We're going to say a very good morning here to Mr. Bruno Marcocchio with the Sierra Club of Canada. Good morning, Bruno.
Good morning, Randy. How are you?
I am well. How you doing?
Very well. Randy, we're living through remarkable times in Canada.
Well, it's a Chinese proverb, isn't it?
It is. With the passing of Bill C-39, we've witnessed a de facto stealth constitutional rearrangement and a balkanization of our nation.
You're talking the budget bill? The omnibus budget bill. Yep.
And a dramatic decline in democratic oversight in our nation. Let me list just a few of the 70 bills that were changed by this bill without any meaningful debate by Parliament. A combination of the temporary foreign workers program and the fair wages of hours work will allow employers to pay 15% less than minimum wage, which will drive down the effective wages of everyone, particularly in places like our region. Environmental assessment was gutted, and the equivalency provisions that can defer federal responsibility.
I got to stop you for a second. Just go back to the first one very quickly. Yes. I don't think they can violate the minimum wage law.
Well, according to that act, they can. They can. The foreign workers.
I think according to the act, they can offer 15% less than the standard wage for that trade or skill, but they can't violate the minimum wage law. I stand to be corrected, Bruno.
Well, time will tell.
Yeah.
The Fisheries Act equivalency provisions means a constitutional rearrangement of deferring to the province's responsibilities that were formerly federal.
Yeah.
The EI changes, as we know, will force Atlantic Canadians out to Alberta over time. The CSIS commissioner that had oversight over CSIS is gone. We don't need a watchdog for our secret spies in our country, apparently, anymore. Public interest groups were targeted with funding for audits, foreign funding, being accused of money launderers, people speaking in our collective interest. That's a very sensitive topic to the environmental community. And things like the Employment Equity Act eliminate the need for federal contractors to apply employment equity, that is, fairness in hiring women, minorities, the disabled, people of color. Like Mr. Swinimer, I grieve this Canada Day for the Canada that I grew up in and love so dearly that at the stroke of a pen undemocratically has disappeared before our eyes, and it's a disgrace.
Okay, and so next steps, if any, what do we do? Wait for an election?
I think we need to look at the disturbing trends that are happening in Newfoundland and Labrador that are mirroring those democratic declines. The Muskrat Falls, the panel was denied the information, the PUB wasn't able to see it, and C-29, your freedom of information, has eroded, where the minister now has absolute discretion in determining what information will be released. It's the final nail in Newfoundland and Labrador's democratic coffin, as far as I'm concerned. When the largest capital project in the history of the province is denied democratic oversight of any kind, you don't have a democracy. At best, Newfoundland and Labrador has become a feudal oligopoly, Putin-like. When, as esteemed a person as you, Bill, openly states, don't kid yourself, the decision on...
Who is Bill and what are you reading?
I'm quoting from what I heard you say about 2 weeks ago.
You're quoting what I said to Bill. Who's Bill?
Randy, I'm sorry.
Are you talking Bill Rowe? What are you saying?
No,
what are you talking about?
I think it was you, Randy, and I'm sorry about that. I think I heard you say, don't kid yourself, the decision on Muskrat Fall was made a year ago. Did I not hear you say that?
Oh, absolutely.
All right.
I believe Muskrat Falls is long sanctioned.
Without any democratic oversight, it's a tacit admission that democracy is dead in Newfoundland and Labrador when you can say that. We understand that the rationale for the draconian C-29 that will ensure no politically sensitive information will ever again be released. The money trail of $1.5 billion in untendered contracts to LNC Lavalin, a company in global disrepute from bribery allegations resulting in ongoing trials, is the reason for C-29. If the government was free of corruption and doing business with LNC Lavalin, would they not open the books and air the business laundry to demonstrate a lack of corruption? Instead,
I'm gonna stop you because you're crossing a line.
What line am I crossing?
You're accusing people of corruption with no evidence. I'm going to stop you. I'm going to stop you right there.
Evidence, and I'll forward you a newspaper article.
Forward all you want. Forward all you want, but I'm going to stop you right there.
Well, aren't you aware that they're being sued for bribery and more charges upcoming in Bangladesh? Their name.
I understand that there's been issues surrounding SNC Lavalin and what's happened with a couple of vice presidents. They are in some deep doggy-do around the world. I appreciate that, all of it. But you're tying things together and accusing the provincial government of being in a corrupt relationship without the evidence being on the table to say that. And here we go again, Bruno.
No, I'm not saying that. And
you're not saying that? That's not what I just heard.
No, it's not what you just heard. And I don't, please, in the future, don't put words in my mouth. It's gotten us both in trouble before.
Well, it's not got me in trouble. It's got you in trouble.
Well, and that's
but I just heard, I just heard that sentence, I thought.
No, I said if a government was free of corruption, would they not open the books and demonstrate a lack of corruption? Instead, they've slammed the door shut on any transparency. What does that tell you?
Okay. All right, so I never heard that. All right. Okay.
Well, my point is that if they were...
I got to run, Bruno, but, we're getting into semantics. Of course, you're accusing the government of being corrupt.
No, I'm not. I'm saying that if, in this situation, would they not open their books if, indeed, that $1.5 billion in...
Well, they're going to argue with you, but they're going to argue with you at the moment, and fair enough, and we'll get at it, obviously, when the debate goes on. They're going to argue their books aren't closed. They're going to tell you their books aren't closed.
What do you mean they're not closed?
They're not closed. They're going to tell you, here's every cent. They're going to tell you they're going to tell you that this is every cent that we're spending. Here's how we're doing it. This is the plan. This is what it's all about. It's all there in front of you. It's wide open. There you go.
Why can't we see what happened to that $1.5 billion in untendered contracts prior to sanctioning? Come on now.
But they're going to tell you that they have $1.5 billion in untendered contracts, and they've done it with SNC Lavalin and other groups, and here's what we're spending, and here's what we're spending it for.
But will not the changes to the Freedom of Information Act ensure that any politically sensitive information will never be released?
They're arguing at this point in time that is not the case, that in actual fact the changes under Bill C-29 are somewhat minor. I have a disagreement with the government on that, but it'll be interesting to see whether Bill C-29, once it is applied, if what you're saying is right or wrong from the point of view of the release of information. Because if they start using come August and September, if they start using changes to the Freedom of Information Act to justify not releasing documents they did release in the past, I think they're getting themselves in a lot of political hot water. They're arguing that is not the case.
Listen, the bill now empowers the minister responsible to make the decision on whether information will be released. That is clearly a formula for corruption and for lack of transparency.
It's certainly a formula for lack of transparency. Bruno, I've got to run. I got to go to news. Thanks, buddy. We'll chat again later. Bye.
Bye.